Jason Wright is the new president of the Washington football team. Obviously, that's a team that's going through a significant rebranding. As a former NFL player and a former partner at McKinsey with an MBA degree, he has a strategy to lead the team through all this change, all while dealing with a virus-impacted season, too. Wright also happens to be the first black team president in the NFL, and he joins us right now. And Jason, first of all, congratulations. The last time I saw you, you were still at McKinsey. I think it was about a year ago. And I just want to say congratulations on the job. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be back, Becky. Thanks.
You know, Jason, I know you've always said that you really enjoy a challenge, and boy, did you get one here. Where do you start?
Well, I mean, there's a few places to start. Obviously, you've laid out one, that we're navigating a COVID season. And while there's a really good plan in place at the team level, and the league has given really clear guidance that we can execute with excellence, I think every business has learned that COVID is incredibly unpredictable. So we're going to have to be really data-driven, have to have a good dashboard, we have to check it regularly, stay up to date on the latest information, and then be agile. We're going to have to shift our operating model. Things will change. So I think that's number one, because the health and safety of our players and staff is most important. And then we're going to have to get our culture right. On the business side of the house, really address the allegations of sexual harassment, and then build a really empowered culture, because we have great innovative talent and we need to unleash it.
Yeah, there's so much going on, not to mention just coming up with a new name for the team as well, and dealing with the idea that you're just the Washington football team for now. Where do things stand on the naming front?
We're right at the beginning processes of thinking about, not just a name. I've been calling it more than that. I've been calling it an identity. And as you know, from a business perspective, this is critical to how we think about expanding the value of the franchise over time. But it's tied to what's really substantial about creating a new identity. It's because it informs the way that we engage with fans, the way that we redesign the fan experience, the way that we engage charitably in the community. And if you think about fan engagement, it's one of the major drivers of value for the franchise. And so this is a really important decision. And it's one that's going to be done in a pretty open and collaborative way across the fan base and other stakeholders, so that we get it right, and that it is really representative of the DMV area and everybody that cares deeply about the team.
Yeah, I've heard a few good suggestions that have been brought up. Maybe the Americans would be a great name, or the Red Tails after the Tuskegee Airmen that are out there. But maybe the worst name I've heard is the Swamp Hogs. Do you have a name that's a favorite of all the ones that you've heard so far?
No, I do not. I do think I've learned a couple of things over my, week zero on the job, because technically I'm still a partner at McKinsey, that we have a really creative fan base. They are passionate and super engaged, and that we have some really funny people.
Jason, I think of your experience as a player, not just a player, but I know back in 2011 for the lockouts, you were one of the labor union representatives during all of that. So you obviously have a full experience of being able to bring this to the table. Where do you stand when it comes to COVID and player concerns about safety? How do you come down on that, making sure that you're doing what's best for the team, but also making sure you are taking care of the players?
That's a great question. I'll even take a step back and just think about share an experience that I had as a rep that sort of informs how I think about this. As a player rep, it was the first time I was really exposed to the business side of the sport, and really thinking about all of the things that happen in the background that allow us to have this game that so many people in this nation love deeply and around the world love deeply. But what I learned during that process, and I went through in my own mind, was that it's really about creating transparency of information. And just like anything in the market, every individual, every company, every investor has to consider the risk and return calculation for them as an individual. And so I think the thing that we as teams and that the league owes to the players is to have a clear plan that lays out things with as much detail as possible in the environment where we know COVID has some unknowns. But if we're able to lay out a clear plan, then players are able to assess as really smart individuals themselves who have a ton of autonomy and an ability to make risk trade-offs to then decide how they want to participate. And I think that's the best thing that we can do, is to lay out that clear plan, follow best practice guidance, and then roll from there. And then everybody is free to make the decisions they need to do, and we make sure that everything is ticked and tied.